You've probably heard that male elephants have a fifth leg. It sounds fake, but there's actually a surprising reason people say this. A male African elephant's penis can grow past 3 feet long, over a meter, and weigh more than a bowling ball. And sometimes he leans on it, like a leg. Wildlife photographers have captured elephants resting their body weight on it while standing still, the same way you'd lean on a cane. It's not a joke. It's muscle engineering so advanced that biologists compare it to an octopus arm. Stick around, because by the 2-minute mark, you'll understand exactly how an animal evolved a body part that doubles as a support beam and why that matters far beyond elephants. Think about your own body for a second. Every limb you have, arms, legs, is built around bone. Bone gives you rigidity. Without it, you'd collapse into a puddle of muscle and skin. Now imagine building a limb with zero bone. No internal skeleton. Just muscle, all the way through. That's what you're looking at. An elephant's trunk works the same way, no bone, over 40,000 muscle units, precise enough to pick up a single blade of grass or uproot a tree. Researchers call this kind of structure a muscular hydrostat. Octopus arms work on the same principle. So do elephant trunks. And so does this. The male elephant has essentially grown a second trunk, one built for an entirely different job. And the engineering required to make something that strong, that flexible, and that controllable without a single bone is something human robotics labs are still trying to copy. This isn't internet folklore. Elephant reproductive anatomy has been studied for decades by field biologists, including Dr. Joyce Poole, co-founder of Elephant Voices, who has spent over 45 years documenting elephant behavior in Amboseli, Kenya. Anatomical studies on muscular hydrostats, published in journals like the Journal of Morphology, confirm the same bone-free, muscle-only structure across trunks, tongues, and this organ. Real researchers, real field data, real anatomy. Let's start with the number that gets people's attention. An adult male African elephant's penis can measure up to 100 centimeters, nearly 40 inches, and weigh in the range of 27 kilograms, close to 60 pounds. That's heavier than most household dogs. For comparison, a blue whale, the largest animal on Earth, has one that's proportionally similar in size relative to body length, around 8 to 10 feet on an animal that's 80 to 100 feet long. But here's the twist. Raw size isn't actually the impressive part. Plenty of animals are big. What makes the elephant's anatomy remarkable is what it can do. Quick question. Guess how many muscles are in a human tongue? 8. Now guess how many independent muscle bundles researchers estimate are woven through an elephant's trunk and reproductive organ combined? Tens of thousands. That gap, 8 versus tens of thousands, is the whole story. And it's the bridge into the next section, control. Because this organ has no bone, it moves like a muscular hydrostat, the same mechanical principle behind an octopus tentacle, a squid arm, and a human tongue. Muscles run in every direction, lengthwise, in circles, diagonally. That lets the structure shorten, lengthen, curl, and stiffen on command, without any rigid support. Field researchers have documented male elephants using it with startling precision, directing it independently of the rest of the body, almost like a fifth limb with its own sense of direction. Some biologists have described the control as comparable to how precisely an elephant can aim its trunk. Ask yourself this: what other body part in the animal kingdom can independently aim, curl, and stiffen without a single bone helping it out? The trunk. And that's it. 2 organs, 1 blueprint. This precision isn't decorative. In elephants, as in most species, Reproductive success depends on split-second physical coordination during a brief high-competition window. Evolution doesn't waste engineering on something that isn't functionally critical. That functional importance is exactly why the next part, the fifth leg behavior, isn't as strange as it first sounds. Here's the moment from the hook. Wildlife photographers in East and Southern Africa have repeatedly captured male elephants standing still and letting the organ rest against the ground, functioning briefly, like a kickstand or a fifth leg. Why would an animal do this? Elephants are enormous. African bulls can weigh over 6,000 kilograms, more than 13,000 pounds. That's an extraordinary amount of mass balanced on four legs for 16 to 18 hours a day. Since elephants sleep very little, often only 2 to 4 hours per night, according to sleep research from Dr. Paul Manger at the University of the Witwatersrand. An animal that's almost always standing, carrying that much weight, benefits from any extra point of stability it can get, even briefly, even incidentally. Biologists caution this isn't a dedicated leg the way legs function for locomotion. It's opportunistic support made possible only because the organ is strong and rigid enough, under muscular control, to bear load at all. Here's the twist. Most animals would injure themselves attempting something like this. The reason an elephant doesn't is the same muscular hydrostat structure from earlier: strength without brittle bone, flexibility without collapsing. Which raises a bigger question. If this structure is this capable, why did elephants specifically evolve it this way when most large mammals didn't? Most large mammals, horses, rhinos, giraffes, have comparatively simple, mostly rigid reproductive anatomy. Elephants are unusual because they evolved from the same ancestral lineage that also gave them that famously dexterous trunk. Researchers in comparative anatomy point to shared developmental and muscular pathways in the order Proboscidea elephants and their extinct relatives, like mammoths that favor building complex, boneless, highly muscled structures throughout the body. In other words, elephants are architecturally built around this specific type of tissue. Once evolution figures out how to build a hyper-controllable muscular structure like the trunk, it's mechanically efficient to reuse that same design elsewhere in the body, rather than invent something new from scratch. That's not a random quirk. It's biological reuse, the same principle that explains why bat wings and human hands share a bone structure, just modified for different jobs. Next time someone mentions an elephant's trunk, you can point out it's not a one-off feature. It's a design elephants use more than once. Muscular hydrostats show up across the animal kingdom for a reason. They're incredibly efficient. No bone means no risk of fracture in that structure, less weight to carry, and near total flexibility. That's exactly why engineers studying soft robotics at institutions like Harvard's Wyss Institute look to octopus arms and elephant trunks as blueprints for building flexible, robotic grippers that can handle delicate objects without crushing them. The same biology behind an elephant's most talked about body part is quietly influencing next-generation robotic design. So the takeaway isn't just elephants are weird. It's that nature solved a hard engineering problem, total flexibility, with real strength millions of years before humans tried to solve it with robots. So back to where we started. You heard people call it a fifth leg. Now you know why. A male elephant's penis can be over 1 meter long, weigh 60 pounds, and occasionally act as a kickstand for an animal that weighs 6 tons. Not a joke. Not folklore. It's the same muscular hydrostat engineering that makes the trunk one of the most sophisticated tools in the animal kingdom, just doing a second job. Next time you see an elephant, look closer. You're looking at one of the most advanced pieces of biological engineering on the planet, twice on the same animal. If this changed how you look at elephants, subscribe every week. We take one weird animal fact and show you the real science underneath it.